Good morning and welcome to another edition of From the Desk of Dan White. The first thing on the agenda today, it's tax day. So if you have not yet filed your taxes, you want to get that done by midnight tonight, get it postmarked because again, the clock is ticking and then you get hit with penalties and interest. So make sure you get those taxes filed if you haven't done it already. And then we lead into a market update. And gosh, I could talk for about 2 hours on the market update. I think the easiest way to describe the market right now is like when you're on an airline flight and the captain comes on and says, "This is your captain speaking. We are experiencing a little turbulence. We would like everybody to return to their seat, fasten their seatbelt until further notice. It could be a little bumpy." That pretty much describes our market today. Unless you've been sleeping under the bridge and not listening to the news the past week, we had Liberation Day where Donald Trump slapped tariffs on about 90 countries and the trade war escalated. The countries fired back and the market, as you know, did not take this very, very good. We went from a garden variety correction for the benchmark S&P 500, which is down 10%, from the previous all-time high into a bear market. A bear market would be down 20%. We did hit those numbers. So it was and in the span of a week. So we have not had a drop like this really since the pandemic. It's interesting. The S&P dropped 10% in 2 days for just the fourth time since 1952. The other instances were October of 1987 with Black Monday. It was down 20.5% in one day. November 2008, the Great Financial Crisis, and March 2020, the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. So now we need to add the tariff tantrum to this very short list. And Trump says tariffs are going to generate billions, if not $1 trillion in revenue for the U.S. over the next short period of time, boom the economy in the long run and stop the country from being ripped off all these years. And I don't doubt the stated intention, but in the meantime, there's a couple questions we need to consider. What's the impact of tariffs on businesses like Apple and Nike, which are now confronted with a 54% higher cost on goods made in China than just a few months ago, and multiply that across various industries. So it wasn't the concept of tariffs themselves that roiled the market the past couple days. Something had been expected for a while, even as high as 20% tariffs across the board. But the rate Trump announced were like double digits on top of that. China was over 100%. So this has been the reason for the volatility. And the fear index, the volatility index skyrocketed. That's another sign that the markets are volatile. And then we know what happened yesterday. Trump basically, I was watching the news this morning and he said the bond market got a little yippy. Usually when stocks fall, the 10-year Treasury starts going down with it. Well, this didn't happen this time. The 10-year Treasury started increasing yesterday to a point where they were getting very concerned about the bond market. So Trump put a pause on the tariffs for 90 days. And the market had the best day in a very long time. The S&P was up almost 10% yesterday. Now today it's dropping again. So I think there is going to be volatility, both down and up. And I think the key to kind of navigating the volatility is exactly what we do for our clients. We preach that you ought to have a safe bucket for income. That's usually an annuity type product. And then you ought to have a growth bucket for inflation. We know over long periods of time, the stock market will outperform any other investment vehicle. So I think it still deserves a spot in people's portfolios. Sometimes, for some people, a much bigger allocation than others. But I think the way that we have positioned most of our clients' assets, where they do have a safe bucket, they do have a growth bucket, you don't want to panic here. You don't want to sell when the market's down. I mean, this is going to be volatile for, I would say, 3 to 6 months. I mean, it all depends on what side of the bed Donald Trump wakes up on and what comes out of his mouth any given day. the markets are going to react. So that's kind of where we're at with the market. It's very fluid at this point. We haven't seen a market crash that was initiated entirely by choice. Most crashes result from animal spirits in the market and from the government's attempt to calm them. The fact that Donald Trump could end this calamity in an instant with a Truth Social post makes it very challenging for investors to know what to do. And I think that goes back to, are you positioned properly with your income, with your growth, and that type of thing. Trump and his team aren't joking. They think tariffs will lead to long-term benefits after this short-term pain. They realize that people will end up with less, and that means slower growth or even a recession. But this is a whole reworking of the global economic system. Trump, under the current arrangement, falls under the purview. Tariffs under the current arrangement fall under the purview of the president. They don't take congressional approval, voters, or any other checks and balances. So regardless of your politics, the story that is being told right now is that the market is grappling with tariffs, and that's the whole reason for the volatility. So it leaves us in a uniquely unpredictable situation. When markets are stumped, they tend to sell off. When people can be predictable, you never know what a person will do. Going forward, any number of things may happen with tariffs. Right now, we're in a pause. Trump could cut deals with individual countries and lower them. The market may fall further and lead Trump to reverse his stance, kind of what happened. Congress may reassert power over tariffs. At this point, nobody knows, but we know how investors should react. If you've set up your asset allocation practically and logically, this should not worry you. This should not scare you at all, because a lot of our clients have a safe bucket, a very large, sometimes safe bucket, and they just have a little bit of money in the market. So, but I think, let's face it, over the last 15 years, the market has outperformed everything. We were overdue for a correction, and even if the tariffs were the fuse, but even without the tariffs, we kind of predicted this for the last 6 months, that the market was overvalued and you should be very cautious. So that's it on the market. I don't think anybody needs to make any major changes. Moving forward, I want to thank everybody who attended our Ladies Afternoon Referral Tea event. My wife was there. She said it was a fantastic event. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. And our Murder Mystery Referral Dinner Party was fantastic as well. So I, again, want to thank those of you who attended, and more importantly, those of you who gave us referrals. As far as our upcoming events, right around the corner, we got our 2025 charity golf outing. It's going to take place on Monday, May the 19th at DuPont Country Club on the Nemours course. Registration and dining will take place at the Brantwood Estate at the DuPont Country Club. 10:30 a.m. is the registration and lunch. We're going to have a shotgun start at noon. And then at 4:30, we're going to enjoy dinner, a dinner buffet, and our awards ceremony. So for anyone who would like to take part in this event without having to golf or would like to invite their significant other, there will be a dinner-only option to register for. And if you are interested in sponsoring this event, it is a fundraiser for our 501c nonprofit. Please contact Kristen at our office. We have a brand new series we're rolling out with. It's called the Dan White & Associates Enrichment Series. We're continually working to bring new events to our clients, and we'll be starting our enrichment series off with a Wellness Wednesday. Action Potential Physical Therapy will be providing information and leading us through a brief stretching exercise to show the importance of staying active each and every day. This event is going to take place on Wednesday, June the 25th at our Glen Mills office on the second floor, and space is going to be limited. We're going to have more information on the timing and how to register. That will be sent out to everyone by Kristen. And then this is a little fall referral event teaser. We're excited to share that our fall referral event is going to be a Phillies game, a box. In September, we're going to have a private suite with food and drinks available. Registration is not yet live, but this is the perfect time. You got a lot of time here to refer any friends, family, or coworkers to attend one of our upcoming dinner seminars. We do them all the time, or come in for a complimentary consultation. That's how you qualify to go to the Phillies game. And again, seating will be limited because the boxes only hold about 40 people. And then finally, as always, we do appreciate everybody who has given us Google reviews, both for Glen Mills, Middletown, and Lewis. And I would just encourage you, if you have a Gmail account and you've had a real pleasurable experience working with somebody at our firm here, we would love if you would just go on Google and tell us how your experience was. And then last but not least, we have a new addition to the Dan White and Associates family. Many of you have worked with Kirsten DeFleury. Kirsten is our Medicare supplement gal. She does a great job. And if you've been in recently, you knew she was pregnant. So she did deliver a bouncing baby boy, 8 pounds, 21 inches. Joseph DeFleury was born on March the 27th at 1 a.m. His nickname is going to be Jax. So we're happy to welcome Jax to the family, and mother and son are doing wonderful, and we appreciate everybody's prayers and well wishes that everything went safely and smoothly for Kirsten and Joey. So that's it from the desk of Dan White. Again, I don't think there's any reason to panic. I think a lot of times just turn the TV off. It's kind of, if it bleeds, it leads, and that's kind of where we are with things today. But if you have questions, if you've got concerns, by all means, that's why we're here. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We'll talk you through it. So don't hesitate to pick up the phone if you've got concerns about your accounts. I hope everybody has a great week. Spring is upon us. Go Phils.